So the Myers-Briggs test is a common and fun way to identify yourself and how you compare with others due to a certain description. Many people, however, are unaware of what these facts are actually measuring, which is Jungian cognitive functions. If you've ever taken the test, you're probably aware of the 4 dichotomies, which are purporting to measure your personality. You're either one or the other in all 4 of them, which is introversion versus extroversion, intuitive versus sensing, thinking versus feeling, and judging versus perceiving. Which are, in my case, introversion, intuitive, thinking, and perceiving, or INTP. And for everybody, it's going to be one or the other for each of the 4. In his work, Psychological Types, Jung identified 4 cognitive functions, which are thinking, feeling, sensing, and intuition. So the 2 types of functions are judging or rational and perceiving or irrational. Judging describes what you do with information once you've taken it in, and it consists of thinking and feeling, as you can see, and perceiving describes how you take in information to begin with, sensing and intuition. There are 2 forms of each function, introverted and extroverted, which we'll get to in more detail in a moment. So Jung believed that the 4 psychological functions are subjugated to the control of consciousness, which can take one of 2 attitudes, extroversion or introversion. The extroverted attitude is a determination by the subject towards external objectivity. With the introverted attitude, however, the interest recedes toward the subject himself. The difference between the 2 is essentially a source of motivation and developing ideas. With an extrovert, it's objective, and with an introvert, it's subjective. Now, each person has 4 cognitive functions, one of which is dominant, one of which is auxiliary, one of which is tertiary, and one of which is inferior, listed in order of dominance. In my case, since I'm an INTP, this is TI, introverted thinking, NE extroverted intuition, introverted sensing, and extroverted feeling. Although Isabel Myers, who created the test, believed that, she interpreted Jung as saying that all the 3 types of functions that are not dominant should take the opposite attitude of the dominant. So in my case, I would have SE rather than SI. But it is generally accepted that the 3rd function should have the same attitude as the dominant function. So I'm going to be using this. Let's start with thinking. Defined by Carl Jung as that psychological function which, in accordance with its own laws, brings given presentations into conceptual connection. Extroverted thinking is objective. It uses inductive reasoning, is primarily externally oriented, and often organizes facts into hierarchies, refers concrete empirical data, which can be said to be objectively true, and it follows ideas outward rather than inward. Introverted thinking, on the other hand, is subjective rather than objective. It uses deductive reasoning as opposed to inductive reasoning, and it seeks to abstract a structure to its bare principles. It follows ideas inward primarily, also, rather than outward. It's focused heavily on the subject rather than on the object, as defines all distinctions between extroversion and introversion. So the second judging function, feeling, sets a subjective criterion for acceptance or rejection based on a value source. And the key difference between FE and FI is where the value source comes from. So with extroverted feeling, the source of value is external. It's the societal standard. It's concerned with connection to others, and it strives for external harmony. That's its main goal. With introverted feeling, on the other hand, values are subjective. They're based on an internal standard rather than an external one. Introverted feelers are concerned with authenticity and personal values, which again are subjective in origin. And the ultimate goal is inner intensity as opposed to external harmony. The first perceiving function is sensing, which is defined by Jung as that psychological function which transmits a physical stimulus to perception. Introverted sensing is very nostalgic. It focuses on familiar sensations, creates a catalog of physical experiences, and recalls them when similar ones occur. SE could be said to be like a hedonistic function in a sense, because what it does is it perceives phenomena in a concrete matter, and what it seeks is the highest possible physical pleasure. Probably the hardest one to define is intuition, which Jung described as that psychological function which transmits perceptions in an unconscious way. Everything, whether outer or inner, objects or their associations can be the object of this perception. Intuition has this peculiar quality of neither sensation, feeling, nor intellectual conclusion, although it can appear as any of these. Introverted intuition can thread multiple sources of phenomena into a certain view or vision. Extroverted intuition, on the other hand, introspects possibilities in an objective matter. It searches for what could be. That's what it primarily does, is searches for what could be. Alright, so that's all the cognitive functions. If you like this video, be sure to leave a like, comment below, and subscribe to this channel for more content. I'd like to hear what you guys want to see. If you want to see more videos on the same topic or another topic, leave ideas below.